Hey guys, it's Christine from Indigo Wings. I am here to do the weekly twin flame reading for April 10th through the 16th. I'm getting this uploaded a few days early because I have a lot going on next week. So I'm hoping that I can give people a few extra days that if you're wanting to order a reading, you'll have a few extra days to get a reading in with me because I'm going to work this weekend and I'm planning on working next weekend because I have so much going on during the week next week. A few things that I want to mention that are coming up in April. We have a lot of planets in retrograde this April. As you guys know, we still have Venus in retrograde until April 15th, and I'm totally looking at my notes right now because I'm not going to remember everything I want to tell you. We just had Saturn go retrograde yesterday on the 6th, and that is going to be retrograde until August 25th, so that one's going to last for a little while, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means, and I am going to put a link in the description of this video, so in case you want to read a little bit more on what Saturn retrograde is going to bring. We have Mercury going retrograde on April 9th, so I think that's Sunday. And then we also have a full moon coming up on the 11th, which I think is Tuesday this week. And I believe that we also have another planet that is going retrograde closer to the end of April. I want to say it's Pluto, and I want to say it's around April 20th, but I might be wrong on that. So as it gets closer, I'll talk more about that. I'm not going to talk really much about Mercury retrograde because I feel like people tend to freak out a little too much about when Mercury is retrograde. I think that it's a great time for us to just take a look at the that we can be doing, redecorate, reorganize, reevaluate things in our lives. Don't take on any major things like, if you're gonna sign like a major contract, I would just double check it, go over it multiple times to make sure that everything is in order. Just any major decisions that you are looking at during this time, just double check them. Like, Mercury retrograde does not have to be a time of difficulty. Some people, I think sometimes people manifest or attract to them that Mercury is a time of difficulty when it really doesn't need to be that way. Communications can be difficult during this time, so just make sure that you are being very clear and very careful in your communication so that people don't misunderstand you. And just be prepared. Like, give yourself extra time when you're traveling because there may be traveling snafus. Be prepared to have electronic malfunctions. I have one or two friends that always have issues with electronics during Mercury retrograde. So if you happen to be one of those people, just be prepared, just know that might happen for you and just go with the flow. But it doesn't have to be a bad time. So if you're one of those people who does freak out when it's time for Mercury retrograde, try not freaking out this time and see how it goes for you. that's how I'm approaching it. Let's see. Okay, so this Saturn retrograde, what I've been reading about it is that it's going to be filled with high highs and low lows. And we're going to be starting on a low with it. This is Saturn retrograde is going to be bringing out heavy karma for everybody until it goes direct at the end of August. And the lessons of this particular retrograde are relating to love and finances. So there may be a lot of karmic issues for people relating to past lives that are coming up. And so this time period could be one of, like an emotional roller coaster. And I decided I wanted to touch on this Saturn retrograde because I feel like I'm seeing the effects of the low in this reading. And so I just want people to be aware of how this could be affecting them. I read a really great report, astrology report, specific to twins and divine connections regarding this retrograde. It's on twinstrology.com, and she has some really great things to say about this Saturn retrograde and about how between now and when Saturn goes direct, this is going to be kind of bringing about the things we've been working on with our twins. This retrograde is actually going to be a good thing because it's going to kind of manifest. I don't know if manifest is the right word. It's going to bring things into our lives that what we've been working towards with our twins. I hope that makes sense. So, some things to be aware of with this retrograde, since it is going to be, a lot of the lessons are going to be pertaining to love. There could be added stress to intimate relationships, especially due to negative feelings, distance, or any other type of typical relationship problems. So if this is happening in a relationship where you are wanting to maintain harmony, try to make sure that you are able to spend time alone together. But at the same time, don't ignore the other people in your life that are giving you love and affection. Just make sure that you are putting extra effort into that particular relationship, because that will help to reduce any unnecessary or unwanted drama there. One of the lines in the article on twinstrology.com that I thought was really awesome is, do not resist the lessons of Saturn. So if there's any takeaway from this, is be open to what you're going to be learning during this time. Because I think that even though this might be a difficult time, might be emotional, ups and downs, I think that the collective is going to be learning some huge lessons that, if they're open to it, are going to be very, very helpful for them moving forward with their future. So that is all I'm going to say about that. That was more than I wanted to say. So, starting in on the reading, this side is the feminine, this side is the masculine. Just because I refer to the feminine energy, masculine energy, it doesn't mean that it has to be a male or a female. A male can embody the feminine energy and vice versa. It can also relate to same-sex relationships. So is really interesting because the last card that I talked about in last week's reading was Challenging Times, and the first card that I pulled for the feminine, and it's the first card I pulled for the reading, is Challenging Times. And you know, it didn't surprise me, especially with all of the stuff that's going on. You have the energy of the Saturn retrograde, you have Venus retrograde, and apparently there's something going on with Venus and Saturn, how they're matching up with each other. You've heard me say this before, I'm not an astrologist, but or an astrologer. So there's something going on with that matchup that makes the time of energy particularly heavy, particularly difficult. And then you have Mercury retrograde, which for some people can make communication challenging. And then you have a full moon coming up. So it is not any surprise that the Challenging Times card came up. You know, and I feel like it's the same. It's very similar of the energy that's carrying over from last week's reading. You know, and there were comments from feminine that were, you know, feminine energies that are like, I am fed up. And, you know, even with masculine energies reaching out to them, they're like, I don't know if I'm buying this. I don't know if I'm ready. You know, and it's like, so there is a shield up. They have a wall up. And they're just not sure how they want to go about things right now. They're almost pushing the masculine away. And you know, they feel like they're finally taking action. They feel like they're finally sticking up for themselves. They feel like they're standing up for themselves in a way. You know, like they feel like they're taking a stand, and, you know, no one's going to stick up for me, and so I'm sticking up for me. You know, but a lot of this is the energy. You know, it's not totally the feminine. You know, this isn't coming from her heart center. This is coming from her ego. This is coming from a place of fear and insecurity. You know, kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting to see what strings are attached to, you know, okay, well, you're here now. What do you want from me? You know, that just very cynical, like very, very ego-based. And but she doesn't feel good about it. It's not making her feel happy. Like, she doesn't feel better with this wall up. It's like, and I think for some of the feminine who are in this position, you almost thought that, like, standing up for yourself, or what you thought was standing up for yourself, like, you'd feel really good about it, and it just doesn't feel the way you thought it would. You know, it feels heavier, it feels darker. And that's where the feminine is at the beginning of this reading. And the card that comes up for the masculine here is moving on. And I don't feel like this is a moving on from the feminine because they want to. For some of them, particularly the ones that are being pushed away by the feminine, some of them are like, okay, fine, like, I'm gonna go. Like, I don't know what to do here. Some of them are just not strong enough to handle being pushed away. They've felt you pulling them to, or yeah, they've felt the feminine pulling them to the feminine for so long, and now it's like, hey, I'm here, and they're being pushed away, and they're just kind of like, okay, I guess I move on. But he is not, he has his head down. It doesn't feel right for him. He's just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll go. But for some, they're not actually moving away from the feminine. They're just saying, okay, you held space for me for a long time, and now I'm going to hold space for you. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to move on from the things in my life that are no longer serving me. Because in this card, you probably can't really see it with the glare and everything, but he's walking toward rocks that have little flowers, and there's plants on the beach, where back here there's nothing like that. And so he's walking towards a place on the beach where things are growing and there's life and beauty, and so it's like he's moving on to something better, but I don't feel like that is away from the feminine. He's just like, okay, because the shielding of the feminine, the walls up, it's not enough to make him really actually move away. But again, a lot of this is coming back to this heavy Saturn retrograde energy that we're starting off with. It's the funky communication, misunderstandings that can happen from Mercury retrograde. And so it's just kind of like, okay, well, I've got other stuff that I'm dealing with too, so I'm going to deal with that, and I'm going to do what I got to do. And I'm not going to like go through all the clarifying cards like I normally do, but I'm just going to tell you the gist that I'm getting of them. And basically what the cards that I pulled here are saying, for so long, the masculine has had this illusion of being trapped where they were, and they're finally coming into a place where, they are gaining the self-confidence, and they're not afraid to take action anymore. They don't feel like they're trapped anymore, and they're figuring out how to get out of the situation that they felt trapped in. And that takes a lot of inner strength. It takes forgiveness for themselves, for the people who are involved in that situation. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm seeing in this card, it's so much more than them just being pushed away by the feminine. And that's not, that doesn't apply to everybody here. That's just some. This is them moving on from whatever that situation is. They're preparing to move forward from that situation that's no longer serving them. They're finally like freeing their spirit and freeing themselves from what's been holding them back all this time. So the next card for the feminine is open up. And I think that, with the way that the masculine's going to be responding and kind of going through things, the feminine is going to realize that putting the walls up is not the way to go about things. And she's going to realize that she's in ego, she's closing herself off, that she's moving in a direction that she doesn't want to be in. And she's coming back into her place of remembering that she is on a path that has already been set out for her. The feminine's going to be coming into a place where she starts to move back into trying to find her balance again. But it's not going to be like it was in the last few weeks and months, because we're dealing with this Saturn retrograde, and it's going to be bringing up very deep lessons that need to be learned and need to be healed from. And so it's going to be a back and forth battle. It's going to be an up and down of emotions for both sides. But this open up, she's remembering that this is part of her path, and this is the way things are meant to happen for her right now, and that she's got to open up to her twin. And I think that the feminine is also, she's realizing that in some ways she's been so focused on either the need to make a decision, or she's felt like they are at a standstill because things aren't measuring up to her expectations, or things aren't going the way she wants them to go. And it's like she's been torn between pretending that there's no problem and acting towards the masculine like, oh, it's fine, it's okay, and then the next moment losing her you-know-what on him. And she's got to find this medium, this balance of saying, okay, I'm trying to manage my expectations. I'm trying to be okay with where things are. I'm trying to just appreciate where everything is right now. But sometimes it's really hard for me. And sometimes I let my emotions get the better of me. It's like she's got to find this, she's got to open up to her twin and say, I'm struggling with finding a middle ground for both of us. And I keep, telling you everything's fine, and then I flip out on you. That is exhausting to your twin. And, I think, just opening up to them about that and being really honest, simple and honest, is going to go a long way, with coming back to a place of, I don't want to say balance, but you moving back into that direction. So the next card on the masculine side is rest and reconsider. So he's tired. I think that all of the energies are going to be really overwhelming to him. And, so for those where the masculine was feeling pushed away and said, okay, forget this, and actually did move away from the feminine, he's saying, okay, that was not a good idea, and he's looking back to the feminine. He's reconsidering what he was doing with that. For the ones who just said, okay, I'm going to give you your space and I'm going to just focus on me, it's hard work. They're tired. And I think that we don't realize, like the feminine are so wrapped up in what we have going on, and we're wrapped up in what we think they have going on, that we don't really have any idea what they have going on. And we don't realize how truly overwhelmed and tired they are in their life. And I think that there will be a moment of this will be a moment of opening up for the masculine as well. The clarifying cards here, I feel like as the feminine opens up, he's going to open up. He's going to try to speak his truth as well. There's going to be an exchange of trying to do their best to meet in the middle and manage the expectations, knowing that now is not the time that you're coming together the way that you want, and managing the expectations that it's going to look different than what you thought it would. The masculine is realizing that obstacles are being removed, and he is realizing that his ego really has been getting in the way of a lot of his growth, and that where he's been feeling stuck, it was a false sense of entrapment. He was really not stuck, and so he's taking time to reflect on these things. So the next card for the feminine, 2 cards popped up here, and I thought that these were really, really interesting. We got control and love, and a very clear message came through to me to this with for the feminine with this, is that you have got to let go of control in this situation. You don't have control. And the more that you try to control it, the less likely you are to come to this place. This is not in your control, and union is probably going to look different than what you are expecting it to look like. It's probably going to look better than what you are expecting to look like. But we have to remember that when we have expectations of how something is going to look, we're limiting what the universe can do for us. But it's, I do recognize that it's hard, especially if you're a person who's a planner or a type A kind of personality. You really like to, you plan things and you think of your future, and you have an idea in your head of how things are going to go. You have to let go of that. You have to just focus on where you're at in the present, because if you keep thinking about the future, you miss the things that are right in front of you. You're not able to appreciate the things that are right in front of you. You miss life as it's happening. And you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed when things don't go the way you expect them to go. So you've got to let go of ways that you try to control the outcome, ways you try to control your twin, yourself. This is a really, really big lesson for a lot of the feminine twins. If you can stop trying to control the outcome, stop trying to control your emotions. I know that there's a lot of feminine twins that are trying to control how they feel about their twins, how they express their feelings. Just try to go with the flow. Take one day at a time. Do the best that you can. And that is going to help you get to where you want to be. That is going to help you. It's also, when you let go of control, you need to stay grounded. That will help you stay grounded. Being in the present moment, being grounded helps you to not get too far ahead of yourself. I also think that some of what can get in the way of us letting go of control is, when we think about all the little details of the things that we have going on. We might think about situations from our past that have to do with our twin or have to do with other relationships or other people that, are pertinent to our lives. And, then we try to control the things that are presently going on in our life. Stop doing that. Or, an example of details in our lives, you might be worried about if you have children and your twin doesn't, or if you both have children, you might be worrying about, well, how will we come into union and we have these two different groups of kids, how will we bring them together, how's that going to work? Stop worrying about that. You're not even at that point yet, so you can't do anything about that. You definitely can't control it, so just let things play out, because they're probably going to work out so much better than you ever even imagined that they could. So that's a really strong message coming for the feminine. For the masculine, I thought this was kind of a cool card that came up after the rest and reconsider, and then also with the message that came across for the feminine. It's awaiting results. And so I feel like after there's communication about, especially from the feminine, about opening up, with her, with them trying to figure out how they can both be happy, how they can both come to a middle ground, especially, it might be having to agree to be friends for a little while. It might be having to agree to, let's email each other once a week, or let's have a phone call once a month. Just if you're having some sort of coming together where you agree on, how you open up to each other, and whatever this there's so many things going through my head, I can't say them all, of how this opening up and speaking your truth can look. So it's going to look different for everybody, but the feminine is going to take that wall down. And, the masculine's going to be kind of waiting to see what happens. And, I feel like he's feeling pretty comfortable knowing that the seed has been planted, and the tree has grown, and fruit has grown, and it's just waiting to be picked. It's just waiting for the right time to be picked. Just waiting for the right moment for things to work out the way they're supposed to. And this card is a 7. So, being on your divine path, divine timing, it's like he's just, and in a lot of ways, I feel like the masculine energy has always been better at being patient, waiting for divine timing than the feminine. And he's almost like, he knows changes are coming, and, he knows that his dreams are becoming a reality, and, he's kind of curious because he's realizing that things may look differently than he expected that they would. Like, it's kind of it's almost a similar message in a way, not that he needs to let go of control, because I feel like they do a better job of that than the feminine, but it's like he's just kind of sitting back to say, like, I'm just gonna see how this plays out, because it's gonna, I feel like this is gonna be totally different than what I thought it would be. And he's realizing that it's okay if it is. He's okay with that. So the grounding energy that both twins are bringing to this reading, and I love this, and I feel like it is so true, because they really are, if you go back through the cards, it's very similar energies, kind of challenging, tough energy. They're both kind of opening up, speaking their truth. They're both kind of having to give up control, waiting to see what happens. So the grounding energy is lead, and 4 for stability. And so these energies are very balanced. Stability, balance and stability. And the clarifying card that I got was balance. And the other one I got is care and compassion. And I feel like both twins are really making that effort to be balanced with each other and to be in the love, to choose love and be caring and compassionate with each other. They're really working to not let the crazy energies get the best of them. And for the feminine, the underlying energy for her is change your focus. So it's a 5, a card of change. And I really see this through her cards with, she's coming in, shield up, pushing the masculine away, not wanting to let him in, then she realizes that's not really how she wants to be. And then coming to another place where she's realizing, like, she's got to let go of control of this. She's got to just go with the flow. So she really needs to change how she's looking at this and changing how she sees the situation. Now, with the masculine, the card that comes up with him is Master. And what I'm getting with this card is that, he's deep down trying to protect his heart, but he's also, deep down is a feeling of being trapped, which is what he's been trying to get away from, and I feel like, it's still this coming from whatever his previous situation is that he's trying to get away from, whether it's a karmic partner, whether it's a business, whether it's other family, there's a lot of other things that could be happening, but that's definitely an underlying energy for him, because he wants to get away from feeling trapped. He wants to set his heart free, but there's definitely fear and that instinct to protect himself. And so then the final card, that both of the twins are coming together and the crowning energy is Blossom, which I think is really nice. And this card's a 20, which breaks down to a 2. So 2 for partnership. And, and I feel like this, even though it's not a 1 for new beginnings, to me, this is showing that the relationship is moving to another level. It's growing, it's blossoming, because they're going from this place where they're kind of mad at each other, not digging each other. Not even that they're not digging each other, but they're just not on the same wavelength. Their vibrations are off. They, whatever's going on with them. And instead of going into this terrible, lengthy separation, they're choosing to take a different approach. They're choosing to see how they can come together, and it's going to look so different for everybody. Some, it's going to be a heart-to-heart conversation. For others, it could be a really simple text that is a few words long, but it's going to be a different way of approaching the situation. So I feel like that's a really, really nice a nice energy for them to be moving into. And the clarifying cards that I pulled up here, I got Life Force, which is about expressing your passion and sensual and sexual powers increasing. I got the Wheel, which is about positive change and a situation moving forward and fortune being on your side. And then I got the Four of Fire, which the Four of Fire is contentment, peace, abundance, a happy home life, and the successful completion of a project. And with the Four of Fire, I really like both of these cards have a very similar orb of light in the middle of them, which I thought was really cool. So, even though, this may not necessarily, indicate a union like many of you may be hoping for, I really do feel like this is showing major growth for you as a team, as a partnership, which again, I'm often talking about building that foundation. You need that foundation to be able to come together, and this is just continuing to build on that. And so I pulled an oracle card, and I pulled Peace, which is a 23. There's a lot of 5s in this reading this week. This one's another 5. So, I know I said it last week, but there's change coming, and I feel like this was a change. And with this Saturn retrograde, I really think we're going to see more changes. So this card, the essential meanings are freedom from attachment and radical acceptance. And this is the relationship message. When two people are in true alignment with one another, they have an innate harmony between them. They are as two perfectly tuned instruments playing together. Sometimes it's impossible to tell who is who. Peace is yours, and it is to be savored. So I feel like that's a really awesome message, especially when we're talking about twins, because, we're constantly talking about, twins, needing to be at the same vibration, being a vibrational match, coming into balance, the masculine and feminine energies balancing each other out. And I I don't think another card could describe it any more perfectly than that. So I hope that this was a helpful reading for you. If you want to learn more about the Saturn retrograde, check out that website, twinstrology.com, and then I think there's another one, Astrology King. I will add those links in the description of the video. If you guys liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you can be updated as soon as I update my latest videos. If you feel like I am talking directly to you, then I am the reader for you, and you should schedule a personal reading with me. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, hold on one second.
Can I let her in?
Yep, hold on. Little cameo from my 5-year-old. I forget she's 5. So, if you would like a reading with me, go to my website, indigowingshealing.com, or you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/indigowingshealing. You can also email me at indigowingshealing@gmail.com. And I think that's it for now. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend.